Hi, I'm George Peirson, and this is a beginner Photoshop tutorial, 10 easy photo effects and techniques. Now if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button and share. You can also support my channel through Patreon and take a look at my complete training course for Photoshop. There's a link for that right down there in the description. Okay, let's get to it. Here we are inside of Photoshop. This is version 2019. And for the first of our 10 easy photo effects and techniques, we're going to replace this sky here with a much better sky right there. This is a real easy technique, real fast, and it works especially well if you have an even tone like this for your background. Now it's lighter down below and darker above, so there are color variations in here, but they're fairly close and it's fairly even tone. So to do this, we'll go over here to this tool, and this is the Magic Eraser tool right there at the bottom. Now the nice thing about this is you just click one spot and it then finds anything that matches and removes that as well. Now before we do anything in here, let's first make a copy of our background layer. Just right click where it says background, choose duplicate layer and OK, and then hide the background. That's because we're going to be removing image material in here. In case we mess up, we can always go back to our saved background layer right down there. It's just a protection. Now when you're using this tool, there are two things to be aware of. The first is the tolerance up here. Right now it's set at 50. The default is 32. And that's simply how many variations of the color you click on are going to be selected. I found that for skies, somewhere between the 32 up to as much as 50 usually works out pretty well. You may have to adjust the number depending upon what your results are, which depends, of course, on your picture. The second one here is where it says contiguous. That means that if I click in here, then everything that's selected has to be touching that original spot. It won't select anything inside of these areas here where it's blocked off by that landing gear. And you want that because you don't want this picking up anything you don't want, for instance, blue over here in the windows. So set for anti-alias, which will soften your edges a little bit. Contiguous, I have my tolerance at 50, which is a good starting point. Opacity at 100 is just fine. And then click someplace near your main subject. And right there, since what we care mostly about are the colors around the main subject, we can take anything else out with an eraser if we need to. But our first shot here did a real nice, clean job. So a few things showing through here. Just click those. Now on this tool, I'll put it right there. There you go. It's kind of a little sparkles around that, and then an eraser tool. It's the tip of the eraser is the part you're going to be using. So I'll put that right in there. Take out that bit, and then get these couple of spots right down here. A little bit in there is not going to matter. It's just going to disappear. Get these last couple spots. There we go, and a little bit right in there. And there it is, nice and clean. Now we need to bring in our background photo, and I have it right there. I'm just going to float this window like that. Grab the background, drag it over here. Now it comes in at the wrong size. It's a smaller size picture, which is okay for this particular use. Take the picture and drag it down so it's underneath your helicopter layer right there. Let's put it up in the upper left hand corner. It should just snap into position in there. If it doesn't, go up to View, come down to Snap To, and make sure Document Bounds is selected. It should already be. Now use the Control-T keyboard shortcut. That brings up our control handles. You can now grab the bottom right hand corner and just pull that down until it fits or is just a little bit larger, which I normally do, just a touch larger. Click on your OK key up there, your check mark, and there we go. Replaced our sky. Let me just show the background again. We can now easily see the difference. There is the original. It's a nice shot of the helicopter, but the sky is real boring. And there it is with our clouds. Much more dramatic photograph. Easy to do, again, if you have a nice smooth sky like that using that Magic Erase tool. For a second fast trick here, we'll put this image, this photo, inside of this heart shape sitting on top of a different background. Real fast, easy way to do things like cards and so forth. Okay, I'm just going to erase some of our layers over here, trash those. There we are. So I have two layers on here. There's the original photo right there, and then there's our sky again from the last trick. take the background layer, right click and duplicate layer. So we have 2 copies of that. Take your copy and move it above the clouds. So it's sitting on top of the clouds. Okay, now let's hide that for a second. Come down to the cloud layer here. It says layer 1. And go over here. Left hand side, you see your different tools. Most likely yours will say rectangle tool like that. It'll look like that. There it is. Just come down to the custom shape tool. And then up here in the options, there are loads of different shapes you can choose. This is just a small selection of our shapes. Click on that gear icon, and there's a whole bunch of different shapes that you can actually choose from. We'll just be using this heart shape right there. Click on that, that selects it. Click the arrow again to minimize that. And then come over here someplace and just drag this shape out. You can see there's kind of an outline around it. And get it so it just about fills the page. We can adjust the position later. Notice that we have control handles on there, so you can actually change the shape if you want to, but we'll leave it as is. That's pretty good. Now notice that it's above our clouds and it's below the photo. So click on your photo. You can see how she fits now inside of that. That's just about perfect. Now all you need to do here, again, our photo is on top, our shape is in the middle, and our background is just below that. The bottom background layer here, that's just saved as a safety. On your top layer, right click where the name is and choose Create Clipping Mask. What that does is it puts that picture inside of whatever it is that's down one layer. In this case, it's that shape. And there's that girl inside of that shape. Let's now make the shape itself a bit more interesting. Go onto the shape layer right here. Come down where it says FX. Click on the FX. Get all these options in here. Click on Drop Shadow. And there's a drop shadow right there. You can adjust the angle in here if you want to. Just move that around. You can adjust how dark it is by adjusting your opacity. I'll leave all those right at those settings. That looks good. Now while we're here in the layer style, come down here where it says stroke. Click on stroke and then click right on the name. There it is. And here's your stroke. There's the color right there. Just click on the color. You can choose any color you want from the color picker. And you can adjust your size right here. Or type in a size. I have mine set at 10. And you can choose your position either outside, there's the outside, inside, or centered on your shape. I'll just put mine on the inside and choose OK. And there we go. Now, when we're here, if I go up onto the photo layer, I can move the photo around inside of that shape. So you can fine-tune your position. You can even use the arrow keys on your keyboard to fine-tune your position. If you come down to the shape, you can move the shape around. There we go. To move them both, just click on one, hold the Shift key down, click on the second layer. You can then move them both together. And finally, on the shape down here, just use the Control-T keyboard shortcut, brings up the control handles, and now I can adjust the shape of that heart a little bit as well, make it a bit wider in here. And then let's move it over just a little bit. There we go. And check mark for OK. There it is. That's how easy it is to put a photo inside of a shape. For our third fast technique, let's put a little bit of type on this. Let's say that you're doing a postcard or something and you want to have some text on here. Let's go ahead and do that. That's using the type tool right here. If you click and hold, there are several different versions. Let's choose the top one here, the horizontal type tool. When you're on this tool, you see a little bar thing there. That is your cursor for putting in your type. I'm just going to click down below here someplace. And you'll see a box comes in. It says lorem ipsum. This is just a sample of your text. We can now adjust our size. On your options, right up here, your first option is your typeface. There we go. I'll leave this one at Arial. Next to that, we have the style in here, your styling for your type. These are the different types of Arial that we have in here. I'll choose the black, which is a very thick typeface. You can see it right down here. Next up, we have the size. There are two ways of changing the size. You can get an exact size by using one of your options up here or typing in a number like 144. Or if you grab the Move tool and then do a Control-T keyboard shortcut, you get control handles in here. You can then pull this and adjust your size like that. So two different ways of making your size changes. Let's go back to our type tool, triple click to select it. At this point I'll put in what I want it to say, which is just going to be jump. There we go. Use the move tool to position your text. Put it right there, just underneath of her. There we go. And again, back to our tool and triple click to select. Next over right here, this is the important one. This is your color. Click on that. There's the color picker. Also click in here someplace and drag to the upper left hand corner. Gives me a pure white, and choose OK. Click outside someplace and there's the text. Now your text comes in as a regular layer. As you see right here, it's a text layer, but it's just a layer, which means we can apply different styles onto this. Go back to the move tool, click on the FX again, do our drop shadow, and this time I want the drop shadow to be a lot sharper, so I'll pull the spread down and pull the size down. Nice sharp text. You can change where it's sitting by adjusting your light angle. There we go. And then your distance up here moves it along that line that we just chose there. So there's far out and there's up pretty close. And there we go. There's our jump text. So that easy to put text onto your picture. For our fourth technique here, let's do some photo adjustments on this picture to bring out the picture a bit better. It's kind of dark in here, a little bit low on our contrast, and the colors are a bit muted. We can fix all of that very easily. And the main thing I want to show you here is using adjustment layers. These are adjustments that don't touch your original image. That keeps it safe and intact. Go up here to Layer, come down to New Adjustment Layer, and we'll choose Levels first. There we go. Choose OK. And here are the adjustment layer controls. What we care about right now are these top controls right here, these three slider controls. The first one is your white, where your white is in your picture. The last one over here, left-hand side, this is where your darks are. The darks look pretty good. I'll leave those where they are. And the middle one is your midtones. If you move the midtones to the left, it lightens the picture up. Go to the right, it darkens the picture down. So we'll go to the left a little bit in here and bring back some of the missing values, kind of lighten the picture up in our midtones. That's pretty good. I'll leave the whites way off to the side. I don't want to go too bright on the background. So there we go. Nice fast adjustment, and as you can see here, we didn't touch the original image. Now she's still a little bit washed out. We can do the same thing and actually stack adjustment layers. Go back up here to Layer, come down to New Adjustment Layer. This time choose Vibrance and OK. This is your vibrance and your saturation. Let's go ahead and bring our saturation up a bit. Brings in more color, just like that. You can see it there. No saturation, a lot of saturation. So we can adjust our color in here and actually bring back in some of the missing color, just like that. The other nice thing about the adjustment layers is you can go back and readjust them at any time. So we're back here on our levels. Let's just check our controls again. Now we have some color in there. I think I'll bring back in the darks. No, darks really don't help. Maybe just a hint on the dark side. There we go. Just a touch, just a 1 in there. So there it is. That's using these adjustment layers. And as you can see, we haven't touched the original image. I can hide the layers. There we go. There's how it looked before. I can bring them back in again. And there's the adjustments. And we can always go back at any point and change or tweak our adjustments just by choosing that adjustment layer. For our next technique, let's just darken the corners down a little bit to help focus the view in the middle here on our main subject. Now this is going to actually change the pixels in your image, so let's come down to our background layer, right click where the name is, and choose Duplicate Layer, and OK. Hide the background. That one is now our safety. If we mess things up here, we can always go back and start again from that one layer. So we're on our new layer here. It says background copy. Make sure you're on this layer for this to work. And then go up to the filter menu. Come down to lens correction. Here we go. Notice that we're not seeing the adjustments in there. That's because they're on different layers. Now in here, right hand side, it says auto correction. Just to the right, grayed out, it says custom, but you can click on that. And here's your custom settings. Now come down here where it says vignette and amount. darken left hand side, lighten right hand side. Just take the slider control and slide it to the left a little ways. I'll go about halfway in there, about like that, and choose OK. That just darkens the corners down just a little bit, which helps to focus the attention again in here on your middle figure. The main thing to keep in mind if you're using this darkening vignette trick is to do it on a copy of your image layer. Don't do it on the original image because it does change the pixels. So do it on a copy of that layer and then you're all set to go. There it is without, and there it is with. And again, notice that once we have that done, we are now seeing our adjustment layers again as well. Our next quick trick here is the new Content Aware Fill tool. And we'll remove this shadow in here from this picture in just a moment. It's that fast. Make a copy of your background layer again, duplicate layer, choose OK. There it is. Hide the original. That's our safety again. Grab the lasso tool and make a little lasso right around what you want to get rid of. It can be a person, it can be whatever. We're using on a shadow this time. There it is. Go up to Edit, come down to Content Aware Fill right there. It'll think about it for a minute, and there we go. There's the fix. It's that easy. There are lots of settings and things you can do in here, but I've actually never had to bother with any of this stuff yet as I'm testing out this tool. Choose OK, and there we go. Let's just go ahead and do a deselect, and there it is. That fast, that easy, using that brand new Content Aware tool. This is a great new tool here inside of Photoshop. A couple of little things I see that are not exactly perfect. We can quickly fix those. A little bit of clone stamp. There we go. A little bit of a shadow showing right there. We can fix that. And a little line right there. Just two little spots. We can fix those very easily with the clone stamp tool. So they're on that bit right there. Come down to the copy your background layer. Grab up here the clone stamp tool. You see there's the brush size right there. There it is. And then hold the Alt key down and choose something in your grass area like that. And then go up here to your background copy. You can actually clone from one layer onto another layer. And let's just quickly just kind of touch up a few things. Hold the Alt key down to choose a new spot. Make sure you go back to your original layer for that one. And then come in and just real fast. Background layers, go up here. Alt click back to our new little bit there and get that out of the way. And there we go. Just real fast fixes a little something right in here. Let me just fix that real fast as well. Again, Alt key and click back to our new layer there, and there it is. Okay. Fifth screen, real fast, real easy removal of that shadow just by using that brand new Content Aware Fill. Okay, time for some fast and easy photo retouching in here on a face. I'm just going to zoom in a bit here. When you're doing retouching like this, you want to smooth the face out, but you may not want to remove everything. Just be careful on what you remove. For instance, right down here, that's kind of a beauty mark in there. Some of these may be freckles, maybe beauty marks. You need to make a decision whether or not you want to remove something depending upon what you're looking for, what your goal is. Obviously, some things like that, right there, a little bit of a skin irritation out here, right down here, right there, those can easily be removed. Okay, so see how this is done? Same thing here, as always, right-click on your background layer, choose Duplicate Layer, choose OK, and then hide the original. That's our safety, just in case, because it will be damaging or changing the pixels on this layer. You want to be able to go back to your original always, so always make your safety layer. For this, we're going to go up here and get my favorite tool, the Spot Healing Brush tool for this kind of work. See, there's the brush size right there. You want your brush size just a little bit larger than the spot you want to heal. You can choose Content Aware, Create Texture, Proximity Match. I normally use Content Aware. It seems to be good. And then just come right over the spot you want to remove. Click on that, and it's gone. It's that fast and that easy. Now, obviously, if there's a lot of little spots, it will take you a little while to go through and click on all of them. So it's not super fast, but it's certainly super easy. And just work your way through. Only area to be careful of, to watch out for, are edges like that. You may have to fudge your edges a little bit, but it's normally pretty good. So stay away from your edges and you should be just fine. And then just work around your photo and remove any of these little spots you want to get rid of just by using that great little spot healing brush tool. It's just that fast and that easy to do. And there we go. Our other tools, of course, that can be used, and some are better for certain uses, but for most of your photo retouch, I found this tool really is just about all you need. It's a phenomenally great tool for this kind of work. So there you go. Real fast, real easy photo retouch just using that spot healing brush tool. All right, let's show our background again here, and here's a before and after. There's the after, there's the before, there's the after. So one more time, there's before, and there's the after. Just that fast. Okay, we're back to our photograph here, and let's just put a frame around this, put this picture into a frame. I have some frames right here. I'm just going to grab this one here on the right hand side. I'll just grab the standard rectangular marquee tool and pull the rectangle around the whole picture just like that, and then edit and copy. Of course, the Control-C keyboard shortcut also works on that. Edit, paste, and there's our frame. Now I need to resize this. Let's rotate first. Go up to Edit, come down to Transform, and rotate, and give it a 90-degree spin. Choose OK. Put that in the upper left-hand corner. Use the Control-T keyboard shortcut. Now, a new change here in Photoshop 2019, if you're used to earlier versions, is if you use these handles now, by default, it's going to give you a proportional resizing like that. Before, it would just change it any way you wanted to, but now it's proportional by default. So let's go ahead and just pull this out to the bottom. There we go, about that far. And then to change this non-proportionally, hold the Shift key down. You can then change it non-proportionally. That's a new change here inside of 2019. Looks pretty good. Let's now move the picture in behind until we get a nice framing on that. I think right about there looks nice. There we go. I'm seeing a little bit of the background showing right down there behind our pictures. Let's go back up here to the frame. Control-T keyboard shortcut. I'm going to pull the frame out just a bit so it's just a little bit larger so we don't have that little bit of background showing. There we go. It looks good. Last little trick is to put a little drop shadow in here so it looks like it's sitting on top of the picture. So come down to the FX again, right there, there it is, and drop shadow. I'm going to put the angle over here to the left-hand side, just kind of feels natural for me. And you can control the distance right there, want just a little small thing, and adjust how soft it is with the size. You don't want it perfectly hard, you want just a little bit of a softness to that, just like that, and it looks like that is now sitting right on top of that photograph. There you go, real fast, easy to do. All you need is to get some pictures of some frames. I found these on my favorite website for free stuff. It's called Pixabay, and they're just, you know, loads of picture frames. Just do a search there on Pixabay for picture frame. You'll find a whole bunch of these things. But there you go. That's how fast and easy it is to put a picture inside of a picture frame. Okay, we're back here to our jump poster, and as you can see, the layout here is not very good. Too much space on the right-hand side. There's still a lot of space on the left-hand side. So we're going to crop this in to make a better picture out of it. And we use the crop tool for that. Just click on the crop tool. Now in here you have lots of options. You can choose a standard size in here. 4x5, 8.5 by 11. There's your 8x10 right there. I'll choose 8x10 standard photo size. You can adjust the scale here. There's, you know, right there you can kind of go for wide or tall. Click on the little double arrow. and then simply pull the picture around until it fits just where you want it. And I think right about there looks pretty good. There we go. So I'm happy with that, and click on the check mark. It then cut your image in to crop it at that point. Now notice over here that we actually cut image off of this. So whenever you do this, make sure you do a save as so you don't accidentally overwrite your original image. Always do a save as when you're using the crop tool so that you'll have access to your original untouched picture just in case. There you go. That's how to use the crop tool real fast. Great way to improve the look of the picture just by improving your composition. And I tend to like going for a real standard size like the 8x10 or the 4x5. For our last fast trick here, we'll look at that clipping mask again, and this time instead of using a shape and a photo of a person, we'll use text instead in this picture here. So go up to the type tool, there it is, and I'll just type in sky in here, and grab the move tool and use the Control-T keyboard shortcut to bring up our control handles. Let's just drag this about as large as we can get it. Just real nice large like that. There we go. Looks pretty good. I'll put it right there. Let's now make this into a clipping mask. Let's just get rid of this extra layer right there. We don't need that one. And make a copy of the background layer. Right click where it says background and duplicate layer. There we go. Pull this above the sky layer. So it's our copy, then where it says sky, and then the background. Now right click on the name and choose create clipping mask. There we go. Now you can't see anything because we're using the same picture as our background. If I hide the background, now you can see that right there. Now here's the neat trick. Let's come down here where it says sky. This is our text layer. Let's put a couple of effects on this. I'll use the same effects that we used previously, but it's an interesting effect. Let's come down to the FX right there. Click on drop shadow, and there's the drop shadow. So we have this kind of sky showing up on top. Let's now put that stroke back in again. There's our stroke. Choose OK. So there it is. We have the clouds and the sky inside of the sky text and also in behind. Now if we hide the background, you can see right there we have it actually inside. So it's an easy way to put in a photograph into your letters. That of course is fun, but I think it's also really neat putting it right on top of the same background like that. It's a very interesting effect. Now if you want to move the lettering around, make sure you're on the letter layer right here, the T layer, the type layer. You can then move that around and it doesn't change the position of the clouds in the background. There we go. Okay, that's a quick run through on 10 different techniques that are very fast and easy to do and can add a lot to your Photoshop photo work. Don't forget, if you liked this video, make sure you hit that like button and of course share. Consider supporting my channel through Patreon and take a look at my complete training course for Photoshop. There's a link for that right down there in the description.